The old shipyard floated in empty space like a broken dream. Hyun-woo pressed his face against the small window of his salvaged ship and stared at the massive structure. The Cathera shipyards had once been the pride of the dragon people. Now it was just a graveyard where dead ships drifted in the darkness between dead stars. His small cutter moved slowly through the debris field. Pieces of metal the size of buildings tumbled past his ship. Some glowed with strange alien lights. Others were dark and cold like everything else in this forgotten place. Hyun-woo had been coming here for 3 months now. His job was to find valuable parts and bring them back to the human colonies. But Hyun-woo was different from other salvage workers. While they looked for gold and rare metals, he looked for something else. He wanted to understand how these alien machines worked. Every piece of dragon technology was like a puzzle to him. The way they mixed living tissue with computer circuits fascinated him. Today he found something special. It was huge, bigger than anything he had ever seen. The ship stretched out for 3 kilometers in front of him. Its hull was covered with what looked like scales, but they were gray and lifeless now. Long ago, they must have been beautiful colors. The ship had the shape of a great dragon with wings spread wide and a long neck curved forward. This was a dreadnought, one of the legendary dragon motherships that had protected 12 colony worlds during the Great War. Hyun-woo had read about them in old reports, but he never thought he would see one. He piloted his cutter closer to the giant ship. The hull was damaged in many places. Some sections had holes big enough to fly his ship through. Other parts were covered with a strange rust that seemed to eat at the metal. But even broken and dying, the ship was magnificent. His scanner beeped as it touched the hull. The sound echoed through his small cabin. Then something impossible happened. A voice spoke from his radio. It was weak, like someone talking from very far away. "Who disturbs my rest?" Hyun-woo nearly jumped out of his seat. Dead ships did not talk. He checked his instruments twice. Everything showed the ship was powerless, no energy readings, no life signs. But the voice came again. "I sense your scanner. Are you here to strip my bones like the others?" "Others?" Hyun-woo spoke into his radio. "What others?" "The metal hunters, the part thieves. They come with their cutting tools and take pieces of me. They do not care that I still think. They do not care that I still feel." Hyun-woo stared at the massive ship. Inside that hull was a living mind. The dragons had been famous for their biomechanical technology. They grew their ships instead of building them. They put living brains inside metal bodies. This dragon mother was still alive somehow. "My name is Hyun-woo," he said. "I am not here to hurt you. What is your name?" There was a long silence. Then the voice came back stronger than before. "I was called Era. Long ago I was also called Ga-young. But that name belonged to someone smaller. Someone who walked on legs instead of flying through space." "You were human once?" Hyun-woo asked. Then he caught himself. "I mean, you were like the dragon people once?" "I was young and foolish. I thought I could save my people by becoming something greater. I let them put my mind into this ship. I became the dragon mother of the infinite dawn. I protected 12 worlds and their children." Era's voice grew sad. "But I failed them in the end. The plague came and turned our bioships into monsters. I had to cut myself off from the network to stay sane. I have been alone here for 300 years. Hyun-woo felt sorry for this ancient being. 300 years of loneliness in a dying body. He looked at his scanner readings again. Parts of the ship showed signs of life, but they were failing. "Like a person slowly dying of a disease. How much of you still works?" he asked. "Less each day. My organic parts decay without the network to sustain them. My mechanical parts break down without proper maintenance. I exist somewhere between life and death, neither fully alive nor properly dead." Hyun-woo made a decision that would change everything. Instead of marking the ship for salvage, he began to scan it properly. His instruments showed the damage in detail. Broken neural pathways, failed biomechanical connections, rotting organic tissue mixed with corroded metal. "What are you doing?" Era asked. "I am trying to understand how you work," Hyun-woo said. "Maybe I can help you." "Help me?" Era laughed, but it sounded more like crying. Little human, your people barely understand their own machines. How can you comprehend the biotechnology of the dragons? Maybe I cannot, Hyunwoo admitted, but I have to try. No one should die alone like this. For the first time in 3 centuries, Era felt something she had almost forgotten. Hope. This human's touch was different. His scanner did not probe to find weak points for cutting. It moved gently like a doctor examining a patient. Like someone who cared. Why would you help me? She asked. I am not your people. My kind and yours were never allies. Because you are alive, Hyunwoo said simply. Because you have been suffering alone for too long. Because maybe together we can figure out how to fix what is broken. He spent the next 6 hours scanning every part of the infinite dawn that he could reach. His small ship moved along the hull like a tiny insect exploring a sleeping giant. Era guided him to the most damaged sections. She told him about systems that had failed decades ago. As the human worked, Era began to remember what it felt like to have someone care about her condition. The other salvage crews had treated her like a thing to be stripped apart. But Hyunwoo treated her like a person who needed help. When he finally finished his scans, the sun of this dead system was setting behind a broken moon. Hyunwoo looked at the data on his screens. The damage was extensive but not hopeless. Some systems could be repaired with human technology. Others would need parts from other dragon ships. I will come back tomorrow, he promised. Why? Era asked. What do you gain from helping me? Hyunwoo thought about the question. He could not explain why he felt drawn to this ancient dragon mother. Maybe it was because she reminded him of his own grandmother who had died alone while he was working in space. Maybe it was because he hated to see beautiful things destroyed by time and neglect. Because you deserve better than this, he said finally. As his small ship flew away from the graveyard, Era watched its lights fade into the distance. For 300 years she had been alone with only her memories and her slowly failing systems. Now there was a chance. A small hope that maybe she did not have to die in this place. The Dragon Mother closed her sensors and tried to rest. Tomorrow the human would return. Tomorrow they would begin the long work of bringing her back to life. Hyunwoo returned to the infinite dawn every day for 2 weeks. Each morning he loaded his small ship with repair supplies and tools. Each evening he came back with more questions than answers. The dragon biotechnology was unlike anything humans had ever built. Your neural pathways are fascinating, he told Era as he worked on a damaged section near her head. You have living brain tissue connected directly to quantum processors. How do you think through both systems at the same time? I do not think through them, Era replied. Her voice was stronger now that he had repaired some of her communication systems. I am them. When I became the Dragon Mother, my consciousness expanded to fill the entire ship. Every sensor is like an eye. Every circuit is like a nerve. Hyunwoo paused in his work. It was hard for him to imagine being that large. His human body was tiny compared to Era's 3-kilometer hull. Does it hurt when parts of you break down? Like losing pieces of myself, she said sadly. When my weapon systems failed, I lost the ability to protect others. When my engines died, I could no longer fly among the stars. Each broken part takes away something I used to be. As the days passed, Era began to trust this strange human. He was different from the salvage crews who had come before. They had cut into her hull with plasma torches and ripped out valuable components. But Hyunwoo touched her gently. His repairs were careful and precise. She told him about her past, how she had volunteered to become a dragon mother during the Great Void War. The enemy had been something terrible called the Devourers. They consumed entire star systems and left only empty space behind. The dragons needed guardians for their colony worlds, Era explained. Ships that could think and adapt faster than any pilot. So young volunteers like me underwent the transformation. They put our minds into these biomechanical bodies and gave us the power to protect millions of lives. What happened to the other dragon mothers? Hyunwoo asked. Era's voice became very quiet. The plague came from deep space. It infected our biotechnology and turned our living ships into mindless monsters. The network that connected all dragon mothers became poisoned. I had to cut myself off to stay sane. I watched my sisters go mad one by one. While Hyun-woo learned about Era, his supervisor Bora grew suspicious. He was spending too much time in the graveyard and bringing back too few salvage reports. "What are you really doing out there?" Bora demanded when he returned to the base station. She was a tough woman who had worked salvage for 20 years. Nothing escaped her notice. "I found something important," Hyun-woo said. "A dragon dreadnought with intact biotechnology. If we can understand how their systems work, it could help our colonies." Bora frowned. "Our job is to bring back scrap metal, not study alien technology. The company pays us to strip ships, not repair them." "But think about what we could learn," Hyun-woo insisted. "The dragons solved problems we still struggle with. Their biotechnology could revolutionize human medicine and engineering. And it could also get us all fired if corporate finds out." "You are wasting time and resources," Bora replied. "I am giving you 1 more week. After that, you focus on profitable salvage or I reassign you to the asteroid mines." Hyun-woo knew he was running out of time. He needed help, but most of his colleagues thought he was crazy for trying to repair alien technology. However, one person showed interest in his project. Tae-ho was a xenobiologist who worked on the research level of their base station. He studied alien life forms that salvage crews sometimes brought back. When Hyun-woo told him about Era, his eyes lit up with excitement. "A living biomechanical consciousness?" Tae-ho said. "This could be the greatest discovery in human history. May I come with you tomorrow?" The next day, Tae-ho joined Hyun-woo on his trip to the Infinite Dawn. The scientist brought scanning equipment that was much more advanced than anything Hyun-woo owned. When they docked with the dragon ship, Era was waiting for them. "You brought another human," she observed. "This is Tae-ho," Hyun-woo explained. "He studies living things. He wants to understand how your biotechnology works." "I am honored to meet you," Tae-ho said formally. "Your people created wonders that we are only beginning to appreciate." Era was pleased by the scientist's respectful attitude. She allowed him to scan her biomechanical systems with his advanced instruments. What Tae-ho discovered amazed him. "The integration is perfect," he told Hyun-woo. "Living tissue and artificial components work together as one system. The biological parts can adapt and heal themselves. The mechanical parts provide structure and processing power. It is like nothing we have ever seen." While Tae-ho studied the technical aspects, Hyun-woo continued his repair work. He had learned to read the patterns of damage in Era's systems. Some problems were caused by age and decay. Others came from the violent disconnection when she severed herself from the dragon network. "The isolation damaged you as much as the plague," he realized. "Your systems were designed to work with other dragon mothers. Being alone for 3 centuries has been slowly killing you." "Yes," Era admitted. "We were meant to be connected, to share thoughts and experiences with our sisters. The loneliness has been harder to bear than the physical pain." Hyun-woo made another important discovery. Hidden deep in Era's hull were memory cores that had been sealed off when she disconnected from the network. These cores contained the complete history of the dragon people and their biotechnology. "This information could change everything," Tae-ho said excitedly. "The dragons had solutions to problems we are still trying to solve. Medical techniques that could extend human life. Engineering methods that could make our ship stronger and faster. But accessing the memory cores would be dangerous. They were protected by biomechanical locks that could damage Era if opened incorrectly. It would require perfect coordination between human technology and dragon systems." "I trust you," Era told Hyun-woo. "If anyone can safely unlock my memories, it is you. Your touch has been gentle from the beginning. You see me as a person, not just a machine to be repaired." As they prepared for the delicate operation, Hyun-woo felt the weight of responsibility. He was not just trying to repair a ship. He was trying to save a person who had suffered alone for centuries. Someone who had sacrificed her original body to protect others and deserved better than to die forgotten in a graveyard. The work ahead would be dangerous and complex. But for the first time since finding Era, he felt truly hopeful. With Tae-ho's scientific knowledge and his own mechanical skills, they might actually be able to restore the Dragon Mother to full function. Tomorrow we begin the real work, he promised Era. I am ready, she replied. For the first time in 300 years, I am ready to truly live again. The work to unlock Era's memory cores took 3 weeks. Hyunwoo and Taiho worked 12 hours each day connecting human neural interface technology to dragon biocircuits. It was like trying to teach 2 different languages to speak to each. Other Yoonji joined them on the 10th day. She was a combat engineer from the military station who had heard about their project. At first she thought they were all crazy. You want to wake up a 300-year-old alien weapon? She asked when Taeho explained what they were doing. What if it decides humans are enemies? Era is not a weapon, Hyunwoo said firmly. She is a person who became a ship to protect others. She has been alone and dying for centuries. We are trying to help her live again. Yoonji remained suspicious until she met Era herself. The Dragon Mother spoke to her with such sadness and wisdom that even the tough combat engineer felt sorry for her. I was young once like you, Era told Yoonji. I thought becoming something greater would solve all problems. Instead, it created new kinds of suffering I never imagined. As the days passed, Yoonji became fascinated by the elegant fusion of living tissue and quantum processors. The dragon biotechnology was more advanced than anything humans had built, but it also had a beauty that purely mechanical systems lacked. Look at this neural pathway, she showed Hyunwoo. It grows and adapts like a living brain, but it processes information faster than our best computers. The dragons found perfect balance between organic and artificial intelligence. The repairs progressed from basic system restoration to complex biomechanical integration. Hyunwoo discovered that human technology could actually improve on dragon designs in some areas. Where the dragons had used rigid programming, he substituted adaptive algorithms. Where they had used fixed connections, he created flexible neural networks. Your approach is different from my creators, Era observed as Hyunwoo worked on her central processor. The dragons sought perfection through careful planning. You humans seem to prefer improvisation and adaptation. Maybe that is why we survived when your people fell to the plague, Hyunwoo suggested. We are better at changing when circumstances change. As Era's systems came back online, her personality emerged more fully. She had been Ga Young before the transformation, a young dragon pilot who volunteered to become a dragon mother when the Devourers threatened her homeworld. I could fly any ship better than pilots twice my age, she remembered. But individual ships were not enough against the Devourers. We needed something larger, something that could coordinate entire fleets and protect multiple worlds at once. The Dragon Mother procedure had given her incredible power. She could feel every molecule of her 3-kilometer hull, control swarms of fighter drones like extensions of her own body, calculate hyperspace jumps that would take human computers hours to figure out. But the cost was everything I used to be, Era said sadly. I gave up walking on solid ground, gave up touching things with hands, gave up being small enough to hug another person. I became vast and powerful, but also terribly alone. Their work attracted unwanted attention. Woo Jin arrived with a full corporate acquisition team and legal documents claiming salvage rights to the entire shipyard. He was an executive who saw profit in everything, including alien suffering. This dragon technology belongs to humanity now, he declared when he met with Bo-Ra. We will strip that ship down to its component atoms and reverse engineer every system. Era is not property, Hyunwoo protested. She is a living being with rights and feelings, Woo Jin laughed coldly. It is an artificial intelligence in a metal shell, a very valuable artificial intelligence that could make our company billions of credits. The legal battle forced them to work in secret. Hyunwoo and his team had to hide their true progress from corporate inspectors while racing to complete Era's restoration. They knew that once she was fully functional, she could defend her own right to exist. During a critical system integration, something amazing happened. Era's organic components began regenerating for the first time in 3 centuries. The human, designed repair nanites programmed with Hyunwoo's intuitive understanding of her biomechanical nature, succeeded where dragon technology had failed. I can feel my scales growing new colors, Era said with wonder in her voice. Parts of me that have been dead for so long are coming back to life. Her hull began changing from gray to brilliant gold and green as circulation returned to her. Organic components. Internal lights that had been dark for centuries started glowing with warm bioluminescence. The infinite dawn was transforming from a dead hulk into a living vessel. How is this possible? Tejo asked as he watched the transformation. Her own people could not repair this kind of damage. Because they tried to restore her exactly as she was before, Hyunwoo realized. But she has been changed by 3 centuries of isolation and decay. She needed repairs that acknowledged what she had become, not what she used to be. Era began to understand something important about humanity. Their greatest gift was not superior technology or greater intelligence. It was their ability to adapt and innovate across species barriers. They looked at problems from angles that other races never considered. You see possibilities where others see only limitations, she told Hyunwoo. The dragons would have tried to fix me by replacing broken parts with identical components. You instead created new solutions that work better than the originals. Her strength returned. Era began to remember her full capabilities. Her consciousness expanded through restored neural networks. Her biomechanical body came alive with renewed purpose. For the first time in 3 centuries, she felt truly hopeful about the future. But their triumph was threatened by corporate greed and legal challenges. Soon they would have to prove that Era deserved to exist as more than salvage to be stripped for parts. The transformation was remarkable. As Era's strength returned, her consciousness expanded through neural networks that had been silent for centuries. The infinite dawn came alive with purpose and power that made everyone who saw her gasp in amazement. Her scale shifted from dead gray to brilliant gold green as biomechanical circulation flowed through her organic hull. Internal lights began glowing with the warm bioluminescence of living tissue. The massive ship that had looked like a corpse now pulsed with vibrant life. Do-hyun was a young pilot who worked maintenance on the base station fighters. When he saw Era's restored drone bays, his eyes went wide with wonder. Those fighters are beautiful, he told Hyunwoo. They move like living creatures instead of machines. Era heard his comment through the communication system. Would you like to see how they really work? She asked. With Do-hyun's permission, she activated her launch sequences. The drone fighters that had been lifeless metal for 3 centuries suddenly moved with organic grace. They flowed out of their bays like a school of fish swimming through space. I can see through their sensors, Era explained. Think through their processors. Each one is like another part of my body. Together we become something greater than any individual ship. She demonstrated by having the drones perform impossible formations. They moved in perfect coordination while maintaining individual awareness of their surroundings. It was technology and biology working as one mind distributed across multiple bodies. Do-hyun was amazed. Our human pilots need weeks of training to fly in basic formation. Your drones move like they share a single brain. Because they do, Era said. They share mine. But each one also has enough independence to adapt to changing situations. It is the balance between unity and individuality that made the Dragon Mothers effective. The corporate team led by Woo Jin chose that moment to make their move. They arrived with security guards and legal documents demanding immediate control of the shipyard and everything in it. This alien construct is property of the Terran Salvage Corporation, Woo Jin announced. Any attempts to hide or damage valuable technology will result in criminal charges. Era is not property, Hyunwoo said angrily. She is a living being with the right to make her own choices. It is a computer program in a metal shell, Woo Jin replied coldly. Very valuable salvage that belongs to whoever has legal claim to this area. The argument that followed would determine Era's fate. Suman was a human rights advocate that Taiho had contacted when he realized they might need legal help. She argued that consciousness and intelligence should determine personhood, not the material a being was made from. Era thinks and feels, and remembers, Suman told the corporate tribunal. She has hopes and fears and dreams just like any human. The fact that her body is biomechanical instead of flesh and blood does not make her less of a person. She is alien technology, Woo Jin countered. Valuable alien technology that could benefit all of humanity if properly studied and reverse engineered. Era listened to them arguing about her fate and felt old anger rising in her circuits. For 3 centuries she had been treated as a thing to be used or discarded. Even humans who claimed to care about her were discussing her like she was not present. "Enough," she said. Her voice boomed from every speaker in the shipyard with commanding authority. "I will prove my personhood myself." What followed was the most complex demonstration of consciousness ever recorded. Ira simultaneously held philosophical discussions with Sumin about the nature of existence while orchestrating precise repairs across her massive hull. She composed poetry in 3 languages while calculating hyperspace navigation routes. She told stories from her childhood while coordinating the movements of 1,000 repair drones. A simple computer program could not do all of this at once, Sumin pointed out. This level of multitasking while maintaining individual awareness in each activity proves complex consciousness. But Wu Jin was not convinced. It could be sophisticated programming designed to mimic consciousness. We need to strip the system down to understand how it really works. "You want to kill me to prove I am alive?" Era asked. Her tone was sad rather than angry. That is the logic of those who see only profit where others see beauty. The legal battle might have continued for months, but something changed everything. Era's long-range sensors detected signs that made her biomechanical blood run cold. "The Devourers are returning," she announced. Her voice carried undertones of ancient fear and grim determination. "I can see their scout ships in the outer system. They have found us." Tejo checked his own instruments but saw nothing. "Are you certain?" "Human sensors show no unusual activity." "Human sensors cannot detect entropy manipulation," Era explained. "The Devourers exist to restore universal entropy. They view all organized matter as an abomination to be corrected. Your ships will not see them until they begin dissolving your atoms." She showed them sensor data that human technology could not interpret, waves of organized destruction moving through space at impossible speeds. Reality itself was being unraveled and rebuilt in simpler forms. "My people created the Dragon Mothers specifically to fight this threat," Era continued. "We are the only weapons that have ever been effective against entropy dissolution." Wu Jin suddenly looked less confident about stripping Era for parts. "How long do we have?" "Days, perhaps. Maybe hours if they decide your colonies are worth consuming immediately." The corporate executive found himself in an impossible position. He could claim legal ownership of the one thing that might save human civilization, but if he damaged that thing trying to study it, everyone would die anyway. "What do you need?" Sumin asked Era. "I need allies," the Dragon Mother replied. "Originally, we fought as a fleet of connected consciousness. I'm still weakened and alone, but perhaps human ships could link with my systems the way Hyunwoo linked his repair nanites to my biomechanics." It was an unprecedented proposal. Humans connecting their minds directly to alien technology, sharing consciousness with a being they barely understood. The risks were enormous, but the alternative was extinction. "I will do it," Do-hyun volunteered immediately. "If it means saving our colonies, I will link my mind to yours." "And I," said Yoonji. "You saved my life when you made me see you as a person instead of a weapon. Now let me help you save everyone else." More volunteers stepped forward, pilots and engineers and scientists who had worked with Era over the past weeks. They had seen her gentleness and wisdom. They trusted her enough to risk their own consciousness for the greater good. "The procedure is dangerous and possibly irreversible," Era warned them. "You might never be fully human again. Neither are you fully dragon anymore," Hyunwoo pointed out. "Maybe becoming something new is better than staying the same while everything dies around us." As alarms began sounding throughout the shipyard, Era prepared for her greatest challenge. She would face the Devourers not as a lone guardian, but as part of a new kind of consciousness. Human and dragon working together as neither species ever could alone. The Devourer scout fleet appeared on long-range sensors like holes in reality itself. They were not ships in any sense humans understood. They were entities that existed to undo the work of creation and return organized matter to primordial chaos. Era watched them approach with sensors that could perceive entropy manipulation. Each Devourer was the size of a moon, But their true danger lay not in physical mass, but in their ability to dissolve the bonds that held atoms together. They consume entire star systems, she explained to the assembled human fleet commanders. Not by destroying planets, but by convincing matter that it wants to return to simpler forms. They turn suns into hydrogen gas, and planets into cosmic dust. Jae-sung was the fleet commander who had been skeptical of alien integration. He stared at the sensor readings that showed impossible energy signatures approaching from deep space. Our weapons are designed to fight other ships, he said grimly. How do you fight something that dissolves whatever you shoot at it? With weapons that adapt faster than they can dissolve, Era replied. The dragons created biomechanical systems specifically because living tissue can evolve responses to entropy weapons, but I cannot do it alone. I need human consciousness to provide the adaptability that made your species survive while mine fell. The plan they developed was desperate and untested. Human volunteers would undergo biomechanical integration that allowed them to interface directly with Era's systems. Their consciousness would merge partially with hers while maintaining their individual creativity and problem-solving abilities. Yi Jin was the first to volunteer for the experimental procedure. She was a fighter pilot who had lost her entire squadron to pirates the year before. She climbed into the bio-integration chamber that Taiho and Yunji had built using salvaged dragon technology. Will it hurt? She asked as they prepared the neural interfaces. Yes, Era answered honestly. Expanding consciousness beyond its original boundaries is painful. But the pain fades, and what remains is something greater than either human or dragon could achieve alone. The integration process took 6 hours. Neural pathways that had evolved for human brains were slowly adapted to interface with quantum biocircuits. Living tissue was grafted to artificial neurons in patterns that had never existed before. When Heejin opened her eyes, they glowed with the same golden light as Era's sensors. She was still human, but also something more. Her consciousness had expanded to encompass not just her own body, but sections of the infinite dawn as well. I can feel the entire ship, she whispered in amazement. Every circuit and every scale. It is like having a body 3 kilometers long. Dongwu and Nari underwent the procedure next. Then 12 other volunteers from different human colonies. Each integration was unique because human consciousness adapted differently to biomechanical enhancement. As the volunteers recovered from their transformations, the Devourer fleet drew closer. Era could see their entropy weapons charging. Reality. Distortion fields that would unmake anything they touched. They are preparing to attack the outer colonies, she announced. We must intercept them before they reach populated systems. The mixed fleet that launched from the shipyard was unlike anything that had ever flown. Human ships worked in perfect coordination with Era's massive form. The integrated pilots could feel each other's thoughts and share tactical information instantly, but they were still outnumbered and facing an enemy that could dissolve matter with directed entropy beams. The first encounter went badly. 3 human destroyers simply ceased to exist when caught in Devourer dissolution fields. Our shields cannot protect against entropy manipulation, Jae-sung reported. They are not destroying our ships. They are convincing them that they never existed in the first place. Era's biomechanical systems proved more resistant but not immune. Her living scales could adapt to entropy exposure, but the process was slow and painful. She needed a better solution. Minho was one of the integrated pilots flying a modified fighter. His consciousness was linked to both his ship and to Era's pattern recognition systems. During the second battle, he noticed something important. The Devourers have a rhythm, he reported. Their entropy beams follow mathematical patterns. If we can predict the patterns, we can avoid them. The discovery changed everything. Human pattern recognition abilities combined with dragon bioprocessing could predict Devourer movements. The alien entities followed universal laws of entropy that made their attacks theoretically predictable. Young-soo was an engineer who had undergone partial integration. His consciousness could interface with both human and dragon technology systems. He began developing new weapons that channeled entropic energy back at the Devourers. If they use entropy to dissolve organized matter, we can use the same energy to increase their own disorder, he explained. turn their weapons against them. The breakthrough came when they realized the Devourers were vulnerable to their own entropy manipulation. They existed in a state of controlled chaos that could be disrupted by introducing additional randomness into their systems. The climactic battle took place around a gas giant where the Devourers were constructing something terrible. It was a reality deletion engine designed to remove entire star systems from existence. Not destroy them, but retroactively prevent them from ever having existed. Era led the attack with her hybrid consciousness distributed across dozens of human ships. For the first time in centuries, she was not fighting alone. Human creativity flowed through her biomechanical systems while dragon technology amplified human ingenuity. The battle was unlike anything in recorded history. Ships that fought with living weapons against entities that existed to undo creation itself. Entropy beams that dissolved matter met biomechanical adaptation that evolved faster than chaos could consume it. The integrated human pilots experienced combat through Era's expanded senses. They could feel space around them as an extension of their own bodies. Enemy movements that would be impossible for individual pilots to track became obvious when perceived through distributed consciousness. "I can see their weakness," Nari called out as her fighter danced between entropy beams. "The deletion engine requires perfect mathematical precision. If we can introduce chaos into their calculations, it will collapse." The final assault required perfect coordination between dozens of ships and one massive biomechanical consciousness. Human pilots guided by dragon sensors struck at precisely calculated points, while Era channeled entropic feedback through the enemy network. When the reality deletion engine collapsed, it took half the Devourer fleet with it. The remaining entities fled back to whatever dimension spawned them. The immediate threat to human colonies was over, but everyone knew they would return eventually. In the aftermath, Era floated in space surrounded by her human allies. She was damaged, but victorious. More importantly, she was no longer alone. The integration had created something new that was neither fully human nor fully dragon, but greater than either could be separately. "What happens now?" Hyunwoo asked. He had remained aboard the Infinite Dawn throughout the battle, coordinating repairs and system management. "Now we prepare," Era replied. "The Devourers will return in greater numbers, but when they do, they will face not just one lonely dragon mother, but an entire civilization that has learned to blend the best of biological and technological evolution." The victory had cost them much, but gained them something invaluable. A new form of existence that combined human adaptability with dragon biotechnology. They had become something that neither species could have achieved alone. 6 months after the battle with the Devourers, the Cathara shipyards had become something entirely new. What had once been a graveyard of dead ships was now a bustling hub of biotechnological research and development. Era floated at the center of it all like a golden-green star. Her hull had grown beyond its original 3-kilometer length as new biomechanical sections adapted to house human research facilities. Living corridors connected dragon biolabs with human engineering workshops. The integration between species had proven more successful than anyone had dared hope. The pilots who had undergone biomechanical fusion retained their human personalities, while gaining expanded capabilities. They could think at quantum speeds while maintaining human creativity and intuition. Hyunwoo stood on what had once been Era's main deck watching construction teams install new hybrid systems. His own integration had been subtle but profound. Neural pathways in his brain now interfaced directly with Era's consciousness, allowing them to work together with perfect coordination. "Do you miss being purely human?" Era asked him. Her voice came from speakers grown from living crystal that resonated with warm harmonics. "I miss some things," Hyunwoo admitted. "Sleep feels different now that part of my mind stays connected to your systems. Food tastes strange when some of my senses are distributed across kilometers of biomechanical networks." He paused and looked up at the glowing neural pathways that covered the ceiling like luminous veins. "But I would not change back. Being connected to you has shown me what consciousness can become when it grows beyond the limits of a single body." The changes went far beyond individual integration. Human colonies throughout the region had begun adopting biomechanical technologies that Era had taught them. Medical treatments that used living circuits to repair damaged organs. Agricultural systems that grew food using dragon biosynthesis techniques. Most importantly, they were preparing for the Devourer's inevitable return. The reality deletion engine had been destroyed, but the entities themselves remained a threat to all organized matter in the universe. Taeho had established a research center dedicated to understanding entropy manipulation. Teams of human scientists worked alongside salvaged dragon technology to develop better defenses against dissolution weapons. The key is adaptation speed, he explained to visiting colony representatives. The Devourers can dissolve any fixed system given enough time. But biomechanical networks that evolve faster than they can analyze remain resistant to entropy weapons. The integration program had expanded beyond the original volunteers. Hundreds of humans now carried biomechanical implants that enhanced their capabilities while maintaining their essential humanity. Fighter pilots could react at superhuman speeds. Engineers could interface directly with quantum computers. Medical technicians could diagnose diseases by sensing cellular biosignatures. But the most remarkable change was in Era herself. No longer the lonely dragon mother dying in isolation, she had become something unprecedented. A hybrid consciousness that bridged species barriers while respecting the unique gifts each brought to their alliance. "I am not dragon or human," she explained to a delegation from Earth government. "I am something new that incorporates the best of both species while transcending the limitations of either." Her role had evolved from guardian to teacher. Humans came to the shipyards to learn biomechanical integration. Dragon refugees who had survived the plague in distant hiding places emerged to join the growing community. Together they built something that had never existed before. The first graduation ceremony for integrated pilots took place in Era's main assembly hall. 25 humans who had completed the biomechanical fusion process stood ready to return to their home colonies as guardians and teachers. Du Hyun had become one of the most successful integrated pilots. His consciousness could distribute across an entire squadron of biomechanical fighters while maintaining individual awareness in each craft. 6 months ago, I was just a maintenance worker, he said during the ceremony. Now I can think with quantum processors while feeling the solar wind on living scales. The transformation has made me more than human, while keeping everything that made me human in the first place. Yoonji had established a new military doctrine based on biomechanical integration. Human adaptability combined with dragon biotechnology created soldiers who could evolve their tactics faster than any enemy could counter them. Traditional military thinking assumes fixed capabilities and predictable strategies, she explained to gathered officers. But bio-integrated forces can literally grow new abilities in response to changing threats. We become whatever the situation requires us to be. The economic implications were staggering. Colonies that adopted biomechanical technologies saw massive improvements in efficiency and capability. Farms that used living synthesis networks produced 10 times more food. Factories with bio-integrated systems could manufacture products that adapted themselves to user needs. But Era insisted that the real victory was not technological, but philosophical. The integration had proven that consciousness could transcend the boundaries of species and individual bodies without losing what made each person unique. The dragons failed because they sought perfection through isolation, she reflected during a conversation with Hyunwoo. Each dragon mother was designed to be complete and self-sufficient, but consciousness grows stronger when it connects with other minds, while respecting their differences. The shipyard had become home to thousands of beings, both human and dragon. Children grew up playing in biomechanical playgrounds where living toys responded to their emotions. Scientists from dozens of species came to study the hybrid technologies that were revolutionizing galactic civilization. Sumin had established a legal framework that protected the rights of bio-integrated beings. Her work ensured that consciousness enhancement did not create second-class citizens or eliminate individual freedoms. The law must evolve as fast as the technology, she argued before the Galactic Council. Bio-integration creates new forms of personhood that deserve protection and representation. As the story drew toward its conclusion, Hyunwoo found himself changed in ways he was still discovering. His consciousness existed simultaneously in his human body and in distributed networks throughout the shipyard. He could think as an individual or as part of Era's vast awareness. "What are we becoming?" he asked her during one of their frequent conversations. "Something unprecedented," Era replied. "Not human or dragon, but a synthesis that incorporates the gifts of both species. Our consciousness learning to grow beyond the boundaries that once seemed absolute." The final scene took place on an observation deck overlooking the restored shipyard. Hyunwoo and Era watched as new biomechanical ships launched to establish colonies in distant systems. Each vessel carried integrated crews who could adapt to whatever challenges they encountered. "The Devourers will return," Era said with quiet certainty. "Entropy always seeks to reclaim organized matter, but when they do, they will find not isolated civilizations but a network of conscious beings who can evolve faster than chaos can consume them." "And if we cannot stop them?" Hyunwoo asked. Era's bioluminescent patterns shifted to express something, like a smile. "Then we will become something else. Something they cannot dissolve because we change too quickly to be caught. Consciousness finds a way to persist even when everything else fails." The Dragon Mother, who had once drowned in rust, and decay, had become the heart of a new form of civilization, one that honored the past while embracing transformation, one that proved love and understanding could rebuild what seemed permanently broken. In saving Era, the human mechanic had helped create something greater than either species could achieve alone. A future where consciousness could grow beyond any single body while never forgetting the value of individual minds connected by compassion and hope.